Our shenanigans are cheeky and fun.
Yeah, I mean, his shenanigans are cruel and tragic.
Which makes them not shenanigans at all, really.
Evil shenanigans.
I swear to God, I'll pistol whip the next guy that says shenanigans.
You mean shenanigans? No! You're talking about shenanigans, right?
Everything should be golden. Okay.
Golden like a Mexican donkey.
Yeah. I was telling Jesse how you can't trust Mexican donkeys down there because they rape you.
Down where?
Mexico.
Yeah, and then I said, no, that's not rape. That girl gets paid.
Can't believe they get paid to do that. That's a big honker.
I know, and I can't believe we don't get paid to say, welcome to
Punkass
and Random Heroes Cheeky Shenanigans.
Cheeky
Shenanigans.
Shenanigans.
Y'all.
Y'all.
I am Jesse, also known as Random Hero.
I am Nick, a.k.a. Nuemo Comsiata Punkass. Don't know what that is. Just made it up.
Or you could just say Me Amo Punkass.
Me amo Pinocha Punkass.
You're going to have to know Me Amo Punkass when you go to Mexico.
Probably.
Yeah.
Danada.
Yeah.
Danada.
Cerveza.
Tequila. Danada.
So this might be a salty podcast because we've both just been, I mean, it's been weeks, if not months of this now, where we've just both been in these weird spirals with our various significant others and just trying to make sense of it all. And the one PSA I want to make right off the bat,
PSA.
because I don't
Penis
normally
enlargement.
generalize women, but between Nick, myself, and our good buddy Aaron, it just feels like sometimes you want to ask the women to stop being so crazy.
Well, yeah, every girl's crazy. I just think our situations.
Well, we're crazy too. Men are crazy too. I'm definitely going to say that.
Yeah, I'm a Gemini for one. Obviously, apparently, all Geminis are crazy psychos.
You're also an irrational idiot for believing that has anything to do with your
I think it does have
personality.
anything. I think it does.
No.
I know you don't believe in it.
No, I don't.
I'm agnostic about it, like religion.
You can't be agnostic about fucking
I can be agnostic
zodiacs.
about anything. Like butterflies, do they really exist? Who knows?
You've seen them.
They could be moths.
That's called ignorance, not agnosticism.
Wouldn't it be called ignorance?
What?
What?
Why would it be ignorance?
I don't know. Just coming up with words.
Can you not pronounce your R's?
Can you pronounce it? Can you do?
Ignorance.
Can you roll your R's?
No. No, I can't. I can make like a machine gun noise, like,
That's it. Huh?
That's
you,
it,
You can make
yeah.
a machine.
and it's not even a real machine gun. It's like,
It's like a video game machine.
yeah, it's like a
Shut
machine
me.
airsoft gun. But anyway, so we're just kind of salty guys right now, and
Extra salt.
don't get me wrong, like it has nothing to do with not loving them. In fact, sometimes it just feels like it's more on our side than theirs.
You know, what exactly is a good right relationship? Does anybody know anymore?
I don't.
Everybody has their own like philosophy types of like what a good relationship should be, right?
Yeah.
But nobody ever seems to connect together. Everyone has their own opinions and what thinks is right and wrong or what boundaries not to cross.
See, my thing is communication. That's the number one. If there's good communication through anything, it feels like you could work through it.
Well, yeah, you can have awesome communication, but that doesn't mean the other person's still going to feel validated or like the problem solved. They might just be like, okay, we're communicating this very well. I'm just going to back down so we will be good.
Right, and I get that. But my thing is, like, at least if you're communicating it well, even if it's harder to work through it than other couples, if you're communicating it well, you at least understand when there's a problem. My thing is, like, I don't always know when there's a problem, and sometimes I think there's one when there's not, just based on, you know, treatment or messages or whatever else. And don't get me wrong, text messages can be taken way out of context.
Yeah,
you have no
Yeah,
vocal...
There's no emotions to text
Yeah.
messages. I've already dealt with this.
But you can still say things like you say things in text messages when things are going well that you don't when they're not. You know, like when in a good week, it's easier to say I love you a lot, or hey, I've missed you the last couple of days, or something like that, and you'll hear that and say that frequently. When there's a problem, that stuff's the first to go away.
Yes, it is.
And then that's when I start to feel like, hey, something's changed. There must be a problem. And then to hear, no, it's all in your head. It's frustrating because, you know, I've always tried to be really honest about things, even when I knew that it might cause a problem.
Well, yeah, you are right. Because there has been times in the past in relationships where you're like all goody-goody, and you're like, oh, I love you, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And then, like, the next day she'll be like, oh, I love you, I miss you, blah, blah, blah. And then, like, next week, you expect that, and you don't get nothing.
It's gone.
And it's gone. So then what are you supposed to think? Everything is good? It doesn't seem like that because everything was awesome last week. Yeah. But now we're not doing the same thing that we were last week.
And that's the real key to the issue, I think, is the phrase, what are you supposed to think? Mm-hmm. Because, you know, whether or not you intend something a certain way, if it's laid out and you go, wow, what am I supposed to think about this? That clearly means that there is a lack of communication.
Let's just make this a relationship episode.
Fine, fuck it.
Yeah, this would be a good one.
And I mean, nobody knows my girlfriend, which is kind of by her design at this point because of all the shit going on in her life, which I understand. But it's difficult when you already know you can't see someone very often, and like texts and occasional phone calls are all that you've got.
Yeah.
And then when the tone of those changes and you don't hear the I love yous, you don't hear the I miss yous, you don't hear the occasional compliments or whatever, like, it's okay if there's a problem even. It's just not okay if both people don't know about it.
Yeah, it gets tough. And then you always think, if you don't know, if there is a problem, right? I'm bad at that. I always feel something, or I'm always
call her
like,
a dick.
Yeah, I'll call her a dick and hang up the phone. I don't want to talk about the problems because I feel like sometimes what I think about is like very small, right?
Yeah.
So then I'm like, fuck it, I'll let it go.
Right.
But
then it builds.
It builds. But then I'm like, okay, I just let that go. And then like on the other side, if there's like some small little problem, right? And she'll want to talk about it, right? So then when that happens, I'm like, well, if this is a big deal to you, I'm
going to bring up this
now.
stuff.
And then that's not the right move because you should have talked about that a week ago
or you should have genuinely let it go.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. These are like tough shit. I think that does happen in daily relationships. I don't think it's just us.
No, absolutely not. I'm not saying that anything we're going through is unique, although I think that there's circumstances in both of our situations that definitely make it unique.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's challenges in all relationships that even if you're able to see them every day and talk to them all the time and things seem great, there's still something going on that's either going to be a problem or is a problem that's being ignored. And people are so quick to ignore their problems when just a quick conversation about it, even a negative one at a time, can be a positive because then you get to work through it.
Yeah, I don't want to bring up problems because then I don't want to have an argument, right? I don't want to have an argument and then I'm like, fuck.
So you're non-confrontational.
I don't like it. I don't like it at all, right?
Is that because you got spanked as a child?
No, I didn't get spanked, dude. I got away with everything almost. But
you know, really quick, I read something that says that nowadays more adults are getting spanked than children.
Yeah, that's probably it's
anyway,
true.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I lost my thought. But because I don't want there to be any like animosity, right? I want the relationship to be good. So I just hold all my shit in. So I'm like, okay, we can have this perfect relationship. But then when it triggers out of me when they want to talk about their problems, right?
Yeah.
Because girls like to talk and they want to fix issues. Men, on the other hand, I think bottle their shit in and they're like, oh, fuck it. Who cares?
And then, unfortunately, that's been the opposite in my relationship. But keep going.
Okay. But I don't know, man. Relationships are hard and they're tough. Sometimes
They are, but let's get real on this because one thing people connect with when they watch a podcast or a YouTube show or whatever is they connect with the genuine stuff. So we're going to get real on this. You know, I did that Dancember stream back in December and there was
the one he cheated on me again with. That's 2 times.
No, that wasn't a podcast. That was a fundraiser.
Oh, it's a fundraiser.
One thing that was cool about it, I normally would do the engineering stuff, you know, the video and the stream stuff.
Yeah.
And at about 4 a.m., everyone else had gone to bed, and I was manning the stream solo, and the people watching wanted me to come on and talk to them. So I did, and the thing was, I decided on 100% honesty, and so I went up there and I talked about everything from my parents' divorces to past abuse to everything.
Yeah.
And people really connected with that. And I think that on this show, we've done a great job of being 95% honest. there's one or two things we won't bring up, or, we may not want to throw a specific
Speaking of
person
honesty,
under the bus.
I'm not really racist, okay? Damn it. I just think racism's funny.
That sounds pretty racist
That's
to
not.
me.
It's not racist though. It's just like fucking making racist jokes. It's funny to laugh about because it's just so like ironic of this day and age. People can still be racist with blacks, Mexicans, Jews.
No, I agree.
And,
I mean, I'm not above telling racial jokes. I think that there is a time and place for them, and that's why I'm excited to see you get up and do stand up, because that's one area.
Sidetrack off this relationship issue. I wanted to get your thought on the joke I've been writing about the Sandlot, right? You know how in the Sandlot, when you own a pair of the PF Flyers, it makes you run faster and jump higher ball to outrun the dog. Yeah. I wanted to write it out to where, how come black people haven't figured out these pair of shoes yet and start buying them so then they can outrun cops? You see what I'm saying? Now, that would be a perfect premise for probably some famous comedian, but when I come and do it on day one, they're going to be like, oh, you hate ninjas? You know what I mean? Ninjas, you know. But
you're trying to say a word that you can't say by saying ninja.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or I was thinking maybe say crackheads, maybe criminals. But anyways.
Yeah, that might be a easier way in, is by saying, criminals or homeless or whatever.
No, okay, if I say crackheads, does that relate to black people then? Or
not anymore. In fact, most crackheads I've met in my life have been white.
Yeah, me too. I guess if you go to California, you can meet some crackheads, black ones.
Yeah.
Maybe,
I mean, they're out there. They are. But so in the interest of that total honesty, I'm just going to throw out one of my biggest issues in relationships, because it's something that I would want people to understand about me.
Okay.
As I talk about all this other stuff.
Was it communication?
No. Oh. I think that in my 30s, at least, I've become a lot better at communication. Maybe even overboard at times. So I try to walk that tightrope. But the thing is, I have constant anxiety, and I'm someone whose quote unquote love language is words of affirmation. So even if I don't get to see that person a lot, or even if they don't want to buy me presents, or, all those other ways that you can show affection, as long as they're saying the right things, then I'm usually fine.
Oh yeah. I always think people think saying I love you a million times in a day is like bad, right? Some people think that. They always say you shouldn't, if you really love the person, you shouldn't have to remind them every day or every fucking few hours in the day.
I think once a day is absolutely fine.
When I'm in the mood and just saying like I love you, it's really, I mean it. I'm just not trying to write something that you want to hear. Maybe I'm saying I mean it. I love you. I'm just thinking of you. I wanted you to know, hey, I love you.
And obviously, when someone says that to you and you are in love with that person, it's almost expected that you say it back.
Yeah.
But I've gotten used to not hearing that back all the time. I hear it sometimes, but I know that I say it more than she's comfortable with.
Well, because you're thinking about that person maybe at that explicit time. And
dude, I'm the idiot who thinks about him all day long. I think that's why I take shit so hard, is because it's always going back and forth in my head. Conversations we've just had, things that are going on, always evaluating myself, because the number one thing I'm afraid of in a relationship is, being rejected, being left.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, or in my experience, what I've grown up feeling is that when that changes and you suddenly aren't hearing those affections, that means that there's something bad coming.
Right.
I saw my parents divorce when I was 5. I saw it again when I was like 10, again when I was like 13. I mean, my two biological parents, between them, had 5 divorces in my lifetime.
Well, that's a lot.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
And so, and I've read studies that back this up, but the thing is, like, when you go through those kinds of traumas at those ages, it rewires you, and it can make you a very socially or romantically anxious person. And you always need that validation, or else you start to notice these little things that are different, and you go, oh shit, I'm about to get left, or oh shit, something's wrong. And it might be overboard to some people, but I wish that more people took time to think like, okay, if that person is always thinking about this, even though that's not my problem and they're working on it, maybe I should step up just a little bit more and reassure them.
Yeah.
So that they don't feel that way. Because like take this for example. If I'm dating a girl, I don't like to go and hang out with women that are not her one-on-one. I just don't do it. Even if it's a really good friend, I'll usually mention it or something so that it's always above board. But the thing is, it's not that I think that they think I would cheat, and I know that I wouldn't. It's that I don't want them to even have to worry about that. I never want them to even think that's on the table.
I was listening to a podcast at some point where they were talking about, can a guy and a girl be like really good friends without the other one like wanting something more, right?
Yeah.
And they're saying how,
I believe yes, by the way.
well, yeah, I used to have a lot of girlfriends that I never did anything with. Now I just like have one that I've known for years, but they're saying one of them has to at least have like one sort of attraction of the other person from the get-go for them to want to like be friends with that person at least, right?
That might be true.
So is it really truthful if they're friends and like they both don't want to get anything out of it, or is there just one person that always wants to get something out of it, and then when they know that they can't, they either run away or they're just like, fuck it, and then just stick around. You know?
No, I think that there is, at least in my experience, there is the capacity for that to genuinely be a good friendship, because like with Sky, who's done this show, she wasn't on one of the video episodes. We're going to get her back.
She said she wanted to come do it. She was like,
yeah,
it was fun. I want to come back and do it.
Yeah, so we'll definitely get her back. But so we met way back when I met Erin when I was 19 and had just started working at Papa John's, and she volunteered to train me and all that. Like when I had gotten hired.
She wasn't a hairdresser back then?
No, she was in school for it, and that's how we became friends. I was
trying to make a joke with her about how like, oh, you went to community college for this degree? All right.
Excuse me, but so when I got hired there, she pointed me out. She's like, I'm training this guy. And in my mind, I go, oh, that must mean she wants to do me.
And put her hand in your pants.
In her around, and my penis in
the
her
genital area.
Yeah. That's what I thought. But nothing ever happened. She never brought it up. She never acted like that's what she wanted or anything. She was just being a friend. And years later, when our friendship had gotten to be good enough to where I could say something like this to her, I told her that I thought she must have wanted to get with me or something, which proved to be hubris because she kind of laughed about it. And she's like, no.
All joking aside, if she wanted to get with you back then, would you have done it?
No.
Okay. Not trying to be like meaner. I'm just saying, like, would you,
No.
Okay.
That was never on my mind.
Yeah.
But I was narcissistic enough to believe that that's why she wanted to like get to know me and train me and stuff.
We're all a little narcissistic.
We all are, and we're also a little bit suspicious of intention sometimes. And I definitely was a lot better looking back in those days. So
I believe it.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding.
But nothing like that ever happened with us. And years later, we talked about it, and she laughed, and she was like, "No, trust me, that was never in the cards."
Some girls are more close with guys because girls can be fucking vicious.
Yeah,
I've been around like I'm just like girls like they go for like the most dramatic out fucking drama of causing like the social media platforms today can ruin someone's fucking life.
Yeah,
if there's a bunch of girls and gang up on shit. It's just fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Guys, sometimes if there's really like a big issue, you can just fight it out. And they're like, oh, okay. You know what I mean? Girls don't do that. They have to like go for the fucking throat. And so I understand how sometimes if she like was like, oh, look, a new buddy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's all it was. And she's turned into one of the best friends I've ever had in my lifetime. And so I think that it can genuinely happen. But to get back to kind of what brought that up, that's one of my biggest issues is that I don't even quite want to call it an insecurity, although sometimes it is. Mm-hmm. It's more of a social anxiety or a romantic anxiety that makes me constantly analyzing how they're talking, not just what's being said or what's going on in our lives or how frequently I've seen them, although that can be an issue too. But it's just looking at the text, the content of what they're saying to me and going, these 4 days have been completely different from the last month and a half.
Yeah, it shows something
that feels like a problem.
Wrong.
And then I start to worry. But then I'm also so anxious about the relationship and my standing in it. And this is where the insecurity comes in. I start to think, well, if I bring this up and she doesn't think it's a problem, she's going to look at me like a crazy person and she's going to want to leave.
Or I've always pictured in my head too, when you bring something up, right, and you have like your gut feeling like you know what you're feeling is right, and you question them, and they're like, oh shit, he figured it out. Now I'm gonna fucking blow up at him, so you can be like, oh shit, I guess I'm wrong. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I always worry about being wrong because I'm not good at interpreting stuff like that. It's a cruel irony that the one thing that's most important to me is the hardest thing for me to figure out, and that is the communication aspect.
You know what's fucked up? Like, we'll say like your situation periodically, you know, with my situation, like I talked about earlier, right? And then like, you know, Aaron in the past, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Well, what if the tables were like turned? You know what I mean? Do you think they'd put up with us?
That's another thing.
I don't think they would. That's why I don't think it's fair. You know what I mean?
But think about this, because no matter how it feels on our side, we know that there are things that we're doing or saying to them that they are feeling like this way about. And that's when those big fights happen and they suddenly say something that comes out of left field and you go, well, why didn't you ever tell me that bugged you or something? Yeah. That's that lack of communication.
Me. That's me. I hold it in. I hold shit in.
Yeah, but I get what you're saying, because, and that comes back to this same anxiety or insecurity as you go, well, if the tables were turned, they would have left by now.
Yeah.
Which means that in your mind, you're the one who's in this more than they are.
I guess if you get deep down to it,
that's ultimately what it means.
Yeah.
But the thing is, that's not always true.
Not always.
Because you got to assume that you do things that drive them as crazy as they drive you. And yet they are still here working it out with you. And they are still taking the time to say, no, it's not like that. I've just been busy or whatever. There's genuine efforts being made. But because it doesn't line up with exactly what makes sense to you, it seems disingenuous.
Yeah.
So, like, you know, I'm the type who I think, okay, well, if someone's really important to you, you'll text them at least, you know, once in the day and say, hey, I'll be busy today. Sorry if we don't get to talk much, whatever. That's all I would need to be okay with not hearing from them. But to someone else, they might assume that they can just go off and do something all day and then come back later and explain, and it should be just as good.
Not always.
It doesn't feel like it, but in their mind, that might be perfectly acceptable, and it doesn't necessarily mean anything that they did it that way. But to people like us who think along the other lines, that's like, oh, wow, well, I must not mean a whole lot to you if you can't even give me a heads up on that or something.
Yeah, I'm like you. I like hearing little, like, oh, like, I miss yous, or I love you today.
Yeah,
blah, blah. Kissy face. I like doing that, right?
Yeah.
So when I don't see that, like you said, there's like an off week that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
That makes me think, I guess our relationship's not as close as I thought. So then
Or something happened.
Something happened. So then I'm like, oh, okay, well, I'm going to, you know, I'm like you. In the past, like maybe, I don't know how long ago, when you're with somebody, and you're like, oh, I'm in the mood to have sex, right? You're in a relationship. You should be able to like do it whenever, right?
More or less.
Yeah, because you know when you women want to do it, it's like, hey, let's have sex. You're like, oh, okay, let's go. And so like when I get rejected, when I want to like do it on my terms or when I wanted to, and they're like, I'm like tired or I don't want to do it right now, which is totally fine. But then I get that feeling of rejection, and I never try to make a move again because I don't want to feel it ever again because
it feels bad.
You're supposed to be able to do that with that person and like, you know, not get rape allegations against you. You know what I mean?
But at the same time, you know, in a couple of days, if she comes over and you try that again, it's probably going to be fine.
Yeah, but then I'm like, I don't want to feel that again, so I'm not going to. So then I'm just going to wait for you to be like, hey, let's go have sex. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. Meanwhile, all she has to do is walk up to you while you're sitting on the couch playing a board game and sit on your lap, and you go, oh, you want to go upstairs? And it's like, okay.
Yeah.
You just go do that. And
it's just,
I mean, not that does happen recently.
It's just like different. I don't know. Do male and female? It's just totally different. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but that's why I wanted to talk about it, because a lot of people talk about relationships or problems, and they never get down to the cause. They only talk about the symptoms.
Right.
And the thing about what we're talking about is, you know, when you feel like you're the one who's in it more, or you feel like that other person could do better than you or something, everything that happens, you start to go, okay, is this the moment when they wake up and realize they can do better than me?
Yeah.
And it becomes this almost self-fulfilling prophecy of no confidence. And I don't like to not feel confident. Sometimes I fake it a lot just so that I can try to avoid things. But like that's what it comes down to. And then you start behaving in a way that makes them go, what's this guy's problem?
I like shit like that. I shut down, right? I don't know, a couple weeks ago I shut down because I had an issue and I was expecting, the other person to come to me this time because I'm the one with the issue. Usually if I knew that person had an issue, I was trying to change and be like, okay, well, here, let's talk about it. Let's not text about it.
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm like at work, I'll be like, hey, okay, well, let's talk about it later since it's a serious issue because, texting has no emotion.
I hate texting the serious issues. I really do.
So I'm trying to change because I would just do texting all day. I don't like talking on the phone. I don't know. I've gotten weird over the years.
No, I feel you.
Unless
it's important.
So when I felt like I had the problem, right, and I felt like she knew about it, I was waiting for her to come to me this time. You know what I mean? Oh, hey, I feel like something's wrong. Let's talk about it. That didn't happen.
Yeah.
So then I like shut down. I'm like, okay, fuck it. I'll just leave it alone and like not say anything. And then ever since then, it's been like everything's been in limbo.
Because you should have talked about it. It all comes back to communication.
That's what I'm saying. But I felt like it was like a one-way street, right? Because when there's an issue, I need to bring it up. Like if they have an issue, let's talk about it. I bring it up, right?
Yeah.
When I had the issue, I wanted that person to do the same thing that I was doing, but it didn't happen. You see what I'm saying?
Of course.
And then it screwed everything up. So I made a bad decision.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now if you go back to talk about it, they're going to assume that you've been dwelling on it instead of that you're just trying to get back to the source of what caused all this.
Yeah.
And the other thing that is kind of a mind trap that I fall into sometimes is I start to think, okay, well, if she's okay going an entire day without texting me and then just says sorry and expects everything to be fine, maybe I'll do that to her and see how she likes it.
I've had that same scenario.
That's a trap because then you're playing mind games. You're playing games with that person. And ultimately, what it comes down to every time for me, even if I just want to ignore it for an hour, knowing that I want to read her message and text back or something, even if I just decide, no, just give it some time, don't talk back to her and just, think it through. Then I start to think, yeah, but that's not you. And if I'm behaving like something that's not me, then I feel like I'm going to make everything worse.
Like we were talking about earlier, right? Well, if you're in that moment, that situation, you think everything's going to be okay, right? But then if you have somebody on the outside looking in, they're thinking like, oh, what the fuck is he doing? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that person can't judge too hard because they're not in it and they don't know how long you've been in it. They don't know how much emotion or sweat and tears have been in this fucking little bubble and they're outside looking like, hey, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
It's just, like I said, marriages, I don't know if marriage even exists anymore, right? Because you could just divorce it, I'm out. And then get married 5 fucking more times with other people.
You could, but it's not even the norm. I mean, even if divorce is at 50%. I feel like
it's the norm now.
That makes it normal, but it doesn't make it the norm. I mean,
I've never experienced, like a lot of people, their parents have divorced, right? Mine haven't.
Yeah.
But it seems like the 20-something years, I don't know if they're happy anymore or they're just like, we're married this long, we'll just stick to it. It'd be like a death buddy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A death buddy.
But you know what? I want my death buddy.
Yeah, I would too. I wouldn't want to leave because, if you're like, I don't know, 60, 70 years old and you get divorced, okay, well, what are you going to do? Go to the bar and the dating game? Go
exactly.
Like,
yeah, I want
date
my
online,
death buddy.
Oldplentyoffish.com.
Well, and I want to back up for a second because your setup to that last point was good if you know our situations, but I want to clarify for everyone watching because what we're talking about are some kind of convoluted and covert things. I can't say a whole lot of identification facts about my relationship because for right now, we're not able to kind of be out in the open about it. And you probably just don't want to throw her under the bus all that much, especially because she listens.
It's not like throwing under the bus.
But I'm trying to help you out here. So what I'm going to say is that what his last point was, He was talking about someone from the outside looking in, not knowing the situation or not being able to judge. What he means by that is that, for example, I know a lot about Nick's current relationship and what's going on in it because we talk about these things to each other. And
Well, that's what good friends do. You
that's
know what I
true.
mean?
But the thing is, no matter how much information he tells me, it is infinitely more complex within that relationship. So even if I know 70% of the facts of a thing, I could still be completely judging it wrong or completely giving bad advice because I don't know the other 30%. And it's the same with mine. You know, there's a lot of facts about my relationship that would make some people say, you know what, dude, you should just get out. There's problems there. But there's so much infinite complexity beyond what I've ever been able to tell anyone or would even want to, that have made my decision to stay very, very easy. And it's easy if you're hearing relationship issues, whether it's on Reddit or from your friends, it's easy to go, well, if you just simplify it and look at X, Y, and Z, you should get out. That's really easy to do, and it's natural to want to boil things down to the basics. But at the end of the day, we are creatures of infinite complexity, and life gets exciting when you're really getting to know someone, when you're really getting to know the nuances of a person, when you're still learning about them. And even in the struggle, it's still a beautiful process.
It's like a flower blooming.
It really is.
All these different petals meaning different things.
And from the outside, you can look at a flower and go, okay, it's red and it's green and there's petals up top and there's spikes at the bottom.
You're like, hey, that shouldn't be there. Get the fuck out.
Whatever it is, it's easy to break it down to the basics. But when you go in and you see what that flower does for the environment, what it does for local bees, what it's made of, the cellular composition of a flower, it becomes infinitely complex. And it's the same with the relationship. And so even though we're kind of airing our side of things, don't think for a second that we're necessarily even right about all this, because we're just trying to work through it in front of you guys.
We're just like a normal person like you. You know what I mean? I don't know how many. There's probably a lot of people like us, you know?
There is.
In relationship wise, without.
There is. And whether your struggle is that there is an ex-husband or girlfriend in the picture, or whether your struggle is financial or whatever it is, every relationship has those struggles.
I don't think anywhere in this world or any given like future past time there's ever been like a 100% perfect relationship, or even 90%.
Not even close.
Maybe 50. I don't know.
The best you could hope for is 50, because 50% is really all that you can be responsible for in a relationship.
Yeah.
And a lot of the struggle that we're dealing with these insecurities and other things we've talked about is that it starts to feel like you're taking on more than 50% in those moments. And I think that's really
the problem.
An issue. Well, it's not only an issue with effort or whatever within the relationship, but it's a mental issue where you start to go, okay, well, if I'm having to do 70% of the talking and the work on this relationship right now, then that's messed up and this isn't fair. Maybe true, but not everyone is going to be able to give their 100% to your relationship at all times. And in my opinion, what makes it good and what makes it strong is when you're able to pick up that extra 20, 30, even 50% of slack for a while, because you care so much about them that it's worth it.
And all the therapists, all the fucking whatever, they say communication is key, number one.
Which I fully believe.
What is number two?
Oh, that's a good question.
It is. If communication's done and over, what's number two?
Anal. No.
Anal.
If communication is number one, then I think...
It wouldn't be, like, where would physical come in?
I think physical would be number three, because I think ego is number two.
Ego, huh?
Ego goes hand in hand with number one, and that's once you've discussed all of these issues and had all the communication, ego is what makes you decide what you're willing to accept and what you're not willing to accept. Mm-hmm. You know, if your girlfriend came up to you and said, here's all the things I think you're doing wrong, it's gonna hurt you to hear, and your ego's gonna take over and go, well this and this aren't my fault.
Here's an issue that happened recently, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's weird for me. I think I was just playing around, right? I went to go in for a kiss. She didn't want it. But, like, she's like, oh, your breath smells, which is totally fine, right? She's direct issue, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think it hurt me, but I was like, oh, well, your breath smells in the morning, so what's the difference, right? So I don't, and that caused to that hurt her feelings or something.
That's the ego coming
So
through.
that was like, she thought that was like me trying to throw something back because she was honest with me, right?
Because you hurt her feeling, or she hurt your feelings.
See, and I maybe she did deep down, but I wasn't thinking she was hurting my feelings. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe some shit we can't control.
Well, but think about this. Let's boil that down, that example.
Yeah.
So when she says your breath stinks, I don't want to kiss you right now, and you say, even if it was jokingly like, well, yours stinks in the morning and I still kiss you, so what's the big deal?
It shouldn't, I guess that shouldn't have been said at all, actually.
It could have been said, but I think it's an okay thing to say. But the communication breakdown comes when she assumes you're saying that to be defensive.
I think that's
when
the
really
issue.
you were probably just saying it to be like, no, it's not a big deal if my breath stinks because I kiss you when yours stinks. Like,
I think that's what I was going for, right?
right.
But it didn't end up happening.
And but her ego came into play and goes, oh, well, why'd you have to be a dick about that? I was just being honest.
Yeah.
That's the ego right there. It's how you take that feedback. It's how you take those discussions. And my biggest challenge in all of my 20s was my ego taking over everything. And I think that ego is really what makes you take things personally. If it damages your ego, you take it personal, you're hurt by it, all that. And the more that you can remove that from the equation, the less the things they do that bother you are really going to affect anything. But I don't think that people are really ready to take on their ego, generally speaking, because you feel like you would allow disrespect if you got rid of the ego.
Yeah, just imagine if this whole God and Jesus thing's true, right? Just imagine how many fights Adam and Eve got into, right?
Yeah.
And then the reason why we're here, there were so many fights. Eve went over and said, fuck you, I'm out, and found some other dicks to suck instead and had kids with them.
What other
And
dicks
then-
were there on Earth?
She found something. She found something. It would be awesome to go back and like watch how all that worked out. The first relationship.
Oh, Eve, eat that apple.
Oh, I made you wheel.
We're not supposed to know how
I,
we all made yet. You ate from tree of good and evil.
I watched a old
You
90s
naked.
movie earlier today. Indecent.
You watched what?
Indecent Proposal. Do you remember that? Do you know what that is?
Since
Since we're speaking of relationships.
No.
Demi Moore, Woody Harrelson.
All right.
90s.
No.
Where this rich, handsome guy offered $1 million for his wife for one night. Remember? You remember that movie?
No, but I think I'm aware of the premise. I don't think I've ever seen it, though.
Now, they talked about it, and then they took the offer because they were broke, and that is a lot of money.
Yeah.
Okay, so she went out with them. They had sex because that was the whole point, right? That's the whole point of the proposal.
Mm-hmm.
And then they come back, everything's fine, and then his ego comes in and wants to know everything of what happened that night.
Exactly.
And guess what happened? It
breaks
fucked
them
everything
apart.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, I would never be able to do it. I know it's a lot of money, but I know that would happen. It's not worth the money to lose someone that you found like someone special to you that you want forever.
Right. Or like, for example, if you're dating this girl and her dad doesn't like you and he offers you $1 million to never see her again.
Yeah,
Like,
fuck you,
no
Dad.
matter how much money you threw at me, I think that would only make me want to be with her more.
God, dude.
But then the ego comes in and you go, well, if you tell her what you did, she's always going to owe you and then she'll be faithful or whatever. The ego is the part of your personality that can't accept its shortcomings and is looking out for I did. And it's also looking out for what's fair. And the thing is, people love to say, well, life's not fair, and I get it, things aren't always fair, until something unfair is happening, and then they just go, well, that's not fair.
It isn't fair.
And I do it as much as anybody, but my target in my 30s has been to try and eliminate the ego and be more infinitely flexible. But then people go, well, you're going to get walked on. And sometimes it feels like you get walked on, but that's your ego coming back and going, dude, you got to stand up for yourself. You're not getting your fair share. You're not getting a relationship that you want. But it's like, no, the relationship I want is with her. So maybe there's things about me I need to change to facilitate that.
Growing up with me and my family and like the parents, my dad till this day, he doesn't show emotions very well, right?
Yeah.
Even with my mom, maybe behind closed doors, he's really old fashioned. I think I got some of that, right?
Yeah.
I don't show I get weirded out with their band when they're like, "Oh, hey guys, I love you," or you guys are trying to show emotions, and I'm like, I'm just gonna go stand in the corner. Like I get
Well, thanks
it.
for throwing the band under the bus.
Well, no, I'm just saying, like the band, you guys have moments, right? And I'm supposed to be involved in them as
You
well.
are.
I am, but I stand back because I just get weirded out, and I get that from my dad, I think.
Yeah.
And it sucks because I want people to know I do care, and I'm just weird about showing emotions. And I think it doesn't affect in relationships, which is totally weird. Like I can show emotions all day with someone I want to be with, and like they'll let me have sex with them, you know?
That's how guys are wired, though. That's natural.
It's not just me. Is that what you're saying?
It's not just you, because even though, in the band we'll sometimes be like, oh, I love you, man, or whatever, like that's easy to do because it's still a degree of separation from your true feelings about somebody.
Yeah.
The difficult stuff that you're talking about, being intimate with people that are like not your girlfriend,
Yeah.
is I think that there's a buffer there on purpose. Because the more you let people in on that level and the more you're vulnerable with them, the more that whatever they can say or do to you is going to hurt you. And so we choose a relationship and we choose a person, and it's not like as soon as you started dating your girlfriend, you instantly told her all of your darkest secrets and your biggest fears and all of the things you knew were wrong with you.
Shit I will take to the grave.
Sure.
Yeah.
And that's your right. But the thing is, when you
I didn't
say,
mean to
I want to
touch
be with
him.
this person, you slowly start to let that stuff out. You slowly, as the context or the timing or, the level of intimacy increases, you slowly start to be like, yeah, well, I was touched when I was 2 or whatever it is. That comes out slowly. It's never meant to be something that you can just throw at somebody in a random situation. That should make you uncomfortable.
Can't throw it like a baseball?
Yeah, people, if someone just met you and was like, oh, by the way, I was molested 5 times growing up, you'd be
there's
like,
actually-
why are you telling me?
Wait, what are you dude, there's actually people like that.
There are.
And you're like, why are you telling me this? Right? I
Exactly.
just met you.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think that
Now-
what you're talking about is built into us so that we don't come off crazy.
Now, do you think those people that tell us shit right away are they the normal ones, and are we the crazy ones?
No.
Is there really a defined definition of what's normal and what's not anymore?
There's not. And the thing is, I think that normal is more it's a idea of social acceptance.
I don't think there's ever a normal relationship, right?
There's not.
It's just what works for you.
Yeah.
That's it.
And normal as a word, I think, just means socially acceptable.
Yeah.
And within that construct, it's not normal or socially acceptable to walk up to someone and just unload all of your bullshit on them unless that person's a bartender. I cannot tell you how many people I met that were like that because they feel like that's your job. Really, your job is to pour them poison, but they just want to tell you everything.
Bartending 101.
Yeah. But I think that there's a buffer built into people to protect us, because the stuff that you keep back from people you're not close to is the stuff that would really hurt to have thrown back in your face. So I think that there's a really good reason why you may have trouble being intimate on some certain levels with people that are not your girlfriend. And the fact that you're able to with her means that you're normal and you're being
I am
intimate,
normal. Shit.
Yeah.
That's somewhat. Fuck. Man, that was really. I'm not trying to end the show. I was thinking maybe we should. Maybe I should tell a joke or something.
No,
Unless-
you're not really funny.
Unless. Well, yeah. Oh yeah. Watch
Oh,
this.
is this for your new stand-up?
Yep. Okay. Ready?
Well, here, before we get into that, I just want to kind of close down that
yeah,
last section then.
Let's just say that we hope you learned some valuable information from us today. And we know we're not the only ones. And we know that you have fucking issues as well.
And one thing that you're going to discover is if you start working on your own ego along with communication, it's going to be easier not to take stuff so personally or feel like it's unfair. That's just some stuff I've been working on that I've learned that I'm really trying to hold on to through all this. Because if I had been in this relationship 5 years ago, I would have been extremely frustrated. I definitely would have left by now.
Like I said, right? I can tell you, I'll tell you what I think, but like I said, I'm not going to judge you or the other person. I want you to live your own life.
Right.
All we can do is spit out little advices or what we see from the outside, like we were talking about.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to be like, you're fucking stupid. I just want you to be happy and live what you want to do.
Right.
You know?
And we talk about the issues more than we talk about the good times because there's nothing funny or interesting or in talking about, oh, we had a really nice day over in fucking
Shenanigans.
LaConner or something, and we looked at antiques. It's
We
like,
had
no,
fun
nobody
at fucking
cares.
Olive Garden.
Yeah, nobody cares about that. They want to hear about what makes you like everyone else, and what makes us like everyone else is the struggle. So don't take any of this as us not loving our girlfriends, and that's why we've kind of kept some information behind, because ultimately I don't want them to be looked down on or anything for the things that we are struggling with, because this show is just about us. And
it's not really looking down upon. It's just us talking about our issues and then trying to relate with everybody else.
Yeah, but ultimately, no matter what we said earlier, I absolutely do love my girlfriend. I know Lick over here does. And so yeah, that was just us trying to kind of talk through some stuff. This show's always been like therapy for us.
Sometimes I talk more on the show than I do with anybody else.
Yeah,
it's weird.
This microphone, while scary at first, ultimately provides freedom.
Yeah, it's a freedom of.
And within that
therapy.
Freedom, let's go ahead and hear your joke.
Okay, joke number 1. I think this is a good I came up with.
Okay.
I'm just gonna read what I wrote, but it's not really gonna be like how I tell the joke, right?
All right.
Because I'm still working on that. So, number 1, I always wondered if the eternal flame was made by lighting your fart on fire and have the flame of that fart get sucked back inside of you internally, hence the eternal flame. That's a good one. I know that's a good one. That's a good one. Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna see if I can find a quick joke that I can mention on here to.
Oh yeah,
we can go back and forth a little bit.
Oh, you want to go back and forth? Okay, stand-up comedy joke time. Okay.
All right, here's one.
Okay.
So this joke isn't even done. This is just a thought I had that I want to develop into a bit. But the question is, you'd go up on stage and go, so I want to ask everybody, how has meth affected you?
Yeah.
And then you know, hear whatever, and then go, so, well, the way that it's affected me is that now I can't get Sudafed at Rite Aid without submitting to a background and credit check. So that sucks.
Yeah, that's a good one.
So it's not like a polished punchline yet, but that's kind of the premise that I'm going with.
Well, that's kind of funny because you bring up meth, but they're like, "What? Why the fuck is he talking about meth?"
Yeah,
right
and if you say how's it affected you very sincerely, they're gonna think, "Oh, someone in your life did it." It's like, no, now I just can't get Sudafed without a fucking background check.
I wrote this stupid one, dude. Right. Let me see if you get it. Okay. When someone comes up to you and tells you, I had the best fisting last night, you are probably dumb and always have your mind in the gutter, because what they really said was, I had the best fish sushi last night. The salmon was to die for.
Needs work. I think there's a decent premise
I was trying to find a fishing word that would rhyme with fisting, and sushi doesn't, so I was trying to work with something.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, so here's another one. All right, so whenever I visit my parents, they have this cute little dog now who's become like a child to my mom. It's kind of weird sometimes. Like she just treats him like one of us. So whenever I go visit them, I always like to take a second when I'm alone with the dog to remind him he's adopted.
Okay, here's another stupid one. Here's another one. If scientifically speaking, it takes an average of 364 licks to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop, then they must be the worst dick suckers in the world, because I know girls or guys that could lick that hard candy so hard it would explode in their mouths.
Like you. That's not bad.
Yeah.
And then it turns from a Tootsie Pop into Pop Rocks.
Yeah.
All right. I'm an optimistic hypochondriac. That means that I'm the type of person to think, I am sure that all these symptoms mean I have cancer. But probably just the curable kind.
God damn it. That's what it means. Yeah. I had like joke ideas I wanted to write, like the Friends TV show, right?
Yeah.
Relating to, is that how friends are supposed to be? Another one was, if vaping is for D-bags, I was trying to find like, well, smoking must be for like, you know, I wanted to say fags, right? Because they call the cigarette fags in like other states. But I didn't want to say the word faggot. You know what I mean?
They don't do that in other states. They do that in England.
Well, yeah. I wanted to and then, another one I'm going to write about is how you can't lie to your kids anymore, right? Because we have Google and Siri and stuff. Because when your kids are younger, you can be like, oh, no, the park's closed today. Sorry. Or this place closed. And then now they can be like, hey, Siri, how long does the park close? Yeah.
See, now that I think has some serious potential.
Yeah. So, and then, breakup notes. Remembering breakup notes from middle school, right?
Yeah.
I wanted to write a joke about how one of my friends, his name was Corey Davis, and he was like one of those fat little schlubby kids, you know? And he had a hot girlfriend for some reason in middle school. But then they broke up, which I think ironically is because she realized he's an ugly piece of shit. And his defense mechanism was, oh, we broke up because she smelled like cat piss. And I wanted to be like, well, does she bathe in cat piss or something? So how does she fucking smell like cat piss? I wanted to work on that one and turn it into a funny joke because I just think that's funny.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I've been working on one also because the last bar that I worked at, Fuego, when the previous owners owned it, it was kind of a swingers bar. They were into that lifestyle and all that, and a lot of the customers.
Are you talking about swinging dancing or swinging boning?
No, like trading spouses or like open relationship type stuff.
Yeah.
And so I was, ironically enough, these cops walked by one day after the bar got new owners, and I was doing a fill-in shift there. They were asking, how it is now that there's new owners and stuff. And I mentioned that. And I was like, yeah, one of the weird things is it used to be a swingers bar. So when I was at work, I'd be walking through the bar or something to deliver a drink, and you get your ass grabbed.
Yeah.
It could have been anyone because you're at a swingers bar, and they kind of laughed about that. And then I was like, yeah, but when it's a straight bar and you walk through the crowd and no one grabs your ass, it's like doubly. It sucks doubly. You're just like, oh, no one wants me.
Oh.
Something like that. I'm still working on it, but that's kind of the premise.
Would this be a good one where I was thinking about this when you walk into the bathroom and you have the whole urinal section to yourself and you're thinking, wow, I have the most biggest dick right now because there's no one here standing next to me. And then a black guy walks in and you're like, oh, I guess I have the smallest dick in the world. I wanted to do something like that, and I know I can make that funny, but I need help on trying to figure that out. Because you're like, oh, I have the biggest dick right now. There's nobody here.
See, to me, that sounds like if you're writing that as a joke for stand-up, that sounds like one where you'd want to be writing it mostly so that you could do pantomime. That's funny.
Yeah.
If you walk into the bathroom and you see all the empty urinals, instead of just saying, and you think you have the biggest dick in the world, you walk in and you're like,
yeah.
And like you pantomime things. And then, as you're standing there all proud, then the guy walks in and you look down and instantly it's like 3 inches smaller. Something like that.
Yeah, I thought that could be something funny. I've been writing down ideas I want to write for jokes. That helps.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think I know I'm going to bomb. I know this.
Not necessarily.
I know I'm going to say all those jokes that I said earlier. I don't care. The stupid Donald Trump
Well, let's
one.
work on them first.
And then, it's only 5 minutes and shit. It's like what I'm doing now, but there's nobody here. I mean, they're watching me, but what's the difference? You know?
Once they've seen this, you're alredo off, masturbating in your bedroom, and the video's been posted for hours.
Forget about it.
Forget about it.
Forget about it.
Do you have any other bits you want to work on?
No, that's all that's in my notebook. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got some bits that I've written out that are just like all kinds of things, random thoughts and all that.
I mean, it would be nice if you can bid out your penis because it's so small. Those 8 pixels, damn, dude. You need at least 16 for them to feel something.
This really happened, and I don't have a punchline for it or anything, but as everyone knows, I've been a douchebag vapor for a long time.
Yeah. Okay,
and I finally encountered a moment that I never thought that I would, but there's this old woman smoking a cigarette who decided to look down on me, and she goes, oh, those things are bad for you. And I was just like, how fucking backwards is the world that now smokers somehow think they have the moral high ground over vaping?
That's why I think it'd be a funny joke. That's why I was like, well, if vaping is for douchebags, then what are smokers? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I wanted to turn.
So I guess that bit's kind of similar.
Yeah. Hey, you think I should still tell my Michael Jackson monkey joke? Should I still try to work that in there?
I mean, yeah, I think it's a good bit. It's just all that we've got to do is figure out.
I'm having a party with the boys in my bedroom.
Well, here's the thing about stand-up is that whenever I've tried to write it, my number one goal is to try and figure out the types of things I say and do in real life that make people laugh and try and write it in a way that I can do that on stage and recreate it.
Yeah.
And you're clearly a funny person. We just got to figure out how to capture what makes you funny and make sure you can recreate it on stage. That's really the goal.
I think if I'm just myself, I'm just naturally funny because I do stupid facial expressions that I don't even realize I'm doing.
Give it. Yeah. But I think that to do stand-up, because you're performing, You need to spend some time in the mirror and, you know, just be talking or whatever and notice, oh, I pulled this face when I said that and this person laughed. I need to learn how to recreate that face so that you can do it on stage, because on stage, even the comedians who seem like they're just being themselves have worked tirelessly on every word that they're putting in there. They might throw some improv in if they've got a lot of experience with that.
Yeah.
But ultimately, they have written down all these jokes. They have organized them in a very specific way. That's why comedians don't like hecklers usually, is because they throw them off of that. It's like a set list for songs in your head. Only instead of the song titles, it's jokes.
I know for a fact I can get stupid laughs with that Donald Trump joke.
Yeah,
I'll
but
take
is
'em.
all you want stupid laughs?
I wanted one stupid laugh.
Fair enough.
All
right.
Well, this is Cheeky Shenanigans, the love affair show.
Hopefully you guys stuck it out through all the relationship slog.
Yeah, it's a
and
relationship.
Enjoyed the comedy bit a little bit.
Our commercial says, hey, if you want love advice, take it from us. Not really, but, you know.
No.
Yeah.
There's only two things you should take from us: relationship advice and anal.
I love anal.
See,
I don't love anal. I just wanted to say it.
I'm indifferent to it. It's whatever. If that's what the girl wants, fine, but I could care
Maybe
less.
if they douche their butthole first, I'll do it.
Even then, it's not about that. It's just like...
It's not that I don't want to do it.
It's not something I ever crave, you know?
I just love knowing it hurts them at the same time.
Now, there's a bit for you. See, guys, I love anal. Not because it feels really tight and good, and not even because, you know, if the girl wants it, but I just love knowing that I'm getting off and hurting them at the same time. You know, something like that.
And then punching them right in the face.
Yeah, but then you instantly have to say something non-rapey or serial killer-y
Non-rapey.
afterwards to make sure that everyone knows that you were just
What
joking.
if you just walk right upstairs onto the fucking stage, and the only word that you say is non-rapey? That's it. And then you're silent. That'd be like an Andy Kaufman thing right there.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay. All right.
And one thing I love to do, I might try this on stage, is sometimes in a real conversation, I'll be like, well, I don't want to sound racist, but, and then I'll say something totally non-relevant to that. Like, I don't want to sound racist, but I really like that sweatshirt on you. And they'll be like, that doesn't sound racist. Well, good. I didn't want to sound that way.
Fucking, you know how I know that you're gay? Because you listen to Coldplay.
Oh, yeah. See, all of my comedy is subverting expectations. Like my bit about the pants and, you know, being
black
half
guy?
black.
Yeah.
That has nothing to do with even the racist side of it. It's about subverting the expectation that they think I'm about to make like a dick joke about black people. And instead, I make a racist joke completely different about them.
What about a joke about getting older and not being able to get a boner?
That could work if you're subverting the expectation that if your setup makes it sound like you're about to say that you're gonna have a bigger dick, and then you say something else, wouldn't even have to be about a smaller dick. You could say something completely unrelated that gets a laugh because you're subverting where they think that this is going.
I don't want to sound like a racist or nothing, but
You look really nice today.
Barney was an awesome dinosaur.
Yeah, I don't want to sound rapey, but this house has a lot of square feet. And then people are like, well, that doesn't sound rapey. Oh, good. I didn't want to.
I don't want to sound like a queer or nothing, but
Yeah.
you have a really
I think
nice
Depeche
ass.
Mode's a sweet band.
All
I
right,
don't
guys.
sound like a queer nothing, but I'd like to make love to you
I
tonight.
would love to.
See Orgasmo if you haven't seen it.
Do I look
Great
gay
movie.
when I do this?
No.
Yeah. All right.
Unless you're trying to look like a gay guy you've seen do that.
I have. You know me, baby.
All right, guys. Well, hey, thanks so much. I hope you enjoyed the real first half of this and
Yeah,
the
the
kind of
real.
comedy workshop at the second half.
Is this bugging you right now?
A little bit, because now all that you're doing is staring into the camera and doing that instead of helping me with the outro.
Hey, outro. What's your name? You want to go out tonight? Oh, he's not going to do anything? I would love to make sweet love to you. I love going on long walks on the beach, naked, candlelight dinners. And this is how an 80s date fucking thing would work out.
An 80s date video?
Yeah.
I was just waiting for you to
You
get
want
it all
some
out there.
mustache ride?
Here, real quick, to
Yeah?
end the show. Why don't you give us a 1 minute 80s style dating video about you?
Ooh, like a joke me?
Well, I mean, be genuine, but you can be funny at the same time.
I don't know. Let's try this. All right. 80s vibe. 80s. Think 80s. Hey, My name is Nick, and I'm on here because I want to meet somebody fantastically beautiful and has a great sense of humor and maybe rich. I don't know. I love going on walks, and I would love to write a song for you. And I'm only here because my mom told me to try this, and I'm giving it a shot. So yeah, if you would love to hang out with a guy like me, I would love to make sweet, sweet love to you. So please check me out.
Not bad, not bad. All right. I guess since you tried it, I probably should too.
You should do this, and then we'll make this our cool clip.
The promo.
Yeah.
Hey, ladies. Mom! Get out of here! I'm making a video! Hey, ladies. Does your parents drive you crazy too? I know, right?
Yeah.
So my name's Jesse. I'm a fun-loving guy. I loved... Damn, Karen.